You spend your life chasing flawless moments. Tidy timelines, perfect words, immaculate appearances. Yet, nothing ever holds still. Not the body, not relationships, not even joy. We iron out wrinkles, delete mistakes, cure it, optimize, strive. But beneath all this effort, a quiet truth whispers. Perfection is a ghost. Promises yet never arrives. And the harder we grasp, the more fragile life feels. We tell ourselves it's only temporary. Just one more improvement. Just one more accomplishment. Then peace will come. But it never does. The mountain keeps growing. The summit keeps shifting. In a world obsessed with progress, even rest feels guilty. Even happiness feels like something to maximize. And when things break, as they inevitably do, frustration takes over. A cracked screen, a failed plan, a wrinkle where there wasn't one yesterday. We rush to fix, to hide, to pretend imperfection doesn't exist. But what if the cracks were not flaws but maps? Maps to something deeper, a hidden beauty only revealed when we let things happen. There is a forgotten Japanese wisdom that invites us to stop fighting reality, to stop demanding, and start flowing. It's called Wabi-Sabi, and once you understand it, you may see imperfection, loss, and change not as enemies, but as guides. In the Western world, perfection isn't a preference. It's a mandate. From the moment we wake up, it chases us. Perfect morning routines, perfect career paths, perfect bodies that age as if time should apologize for passing. Every industry sells the same silent promise. Control everything, and you will finally feel whole. Social media amplifies this lie. Here life is staged. Coffee tables arranged just right. Vacations cropped and filtered. Couples smiling, even when cracks run deep. Every scroll is a reminder. Others are living your fantasy, and you are running behind. Dating apps teach us to swipe away imperfection. Job culture demands constant self-improvement. Even leisure has become performative. Your hobbies? Optimize them. Your rest? Make it productive. We live under siege. Not by wars or disasters, but by expectations. Psychologist Thomas Curran's work reveals the cost. Perfectionism doesn't lead to achievement. It leads to burnout, depression, and disconnection. In fact, the higher our standards rise, the lower our self-compassion falls. Every mistake becomes a moral failure. Every shortcoming, a scarlet letter. Perfectionism whispers, only when you are flawless will you deserve love, peace, and belonging. But this is a cruel paradox, because flawlessness isn't human. It's fictional. Every success story is incomplete. Every relationship messy. Every life peppered with moments we wish we could edit out. Yet, the illusion persists. Why? Because control gives us the illusion of safety. If we can just manage every detail, maybe uncertainty won't hurt us. Maybe loss won't visit. Maybe endings won't sting. But control is brittle armor. The universe does not negotiate with our blueprints. Phones crack. Careers stall. People leave. Even our bodies, despite diets and regimens, soften and wrinkle with time. We try to script life, yet life improvises, always. Neuroscience offers deeper insight. When reality clashes with expectations, the brain enters cognitive dissonance. This tension, this inner war between what is and what should be, drains us. Some fight harder, doubling down on perfectionism. Others collapse, numbed by despair. Neither path brings peace. This relentless striving warps joy into pressure. What should be savored becomes another task. A sunset? Post it. A laugh? Make it viral. A quiet moment? Monetize it. Perfection doesn't elevate life. It flattens it into a checklist. And yet, quietly, invisibly, there's another way. A way that sees beauty in cracked walls. A way that finds harmony in chaos. A way that says, you were never meant to be flawless. You were meant to be whole, which includes your flaws. In Japan, this idea has been whispered for centuries. It does not shout. It does not demand. It invites. Two simple words, carrying a world of wisdom. Wabi-Sabi. Where Western ideals promise control, Wabi-Sabi offers release. Where perfection imprisons, Wabi-Sabi liberates. And now, let's step into this quieter, humbler, yet infinitely freer world. If perfection is a fortress we exhaust ourselves trying to build, then Wabi-Sabi is a garden we are invited to sit in as we are. Wabi-Sabi isn't just an aesthetic. It's a philosophy, a quiet rebellion against the impossible demands of flawlessness. Its roots reach deep into Japanese Zen Buddhism, shaped by centuries of spiritual reflection on one timeless truth. Everything is impermanent, incomplete, and imperfect. In the 12th century, a Japanese monk named Nanan formally introduced Zen teachings into Japan. Unlike the Western urge to dominate nature, Zen offered another posture, to flow with it. To accept that suffering arises not from life itself, but from our resistance to life's nature, its changeability, its chaos, its lack of guarantees. The West sought certainty. Zen embraced mystery. Over time, these ideas would be uniquely crystallized into the cultural consciousness of Japan, not as cold resignation, but as a tender reverence for the fragile, the fleeting, and the fractured. Thus emerged the intertwined concepts of Wabi and Sabi. Wabi refers to the beauty found in humble simplicity, the quiet elegance of minimalism. Sabi points to the grace of aging, the bittersweet loveliness that emerges with time and wear. Together, Wabi-Sabi teaches a radical lesson. Things are most beautiful when they bear the marks of their journey. A chipped bowl, a faded wall, a wrinkled smile. Where the Western mind sees something broken or decaying, Wabi-Sabi sees something honest, something with a story. This philosophy doesn't just exist in ideas, it breathes through Japanese art and daily life. Consider kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery not by hiding the cracks, but by filling them with gold. The flaw becomes the centerpiece. The damage isn't disguised, it's illuminated. Or think of raku pottery, hand-molded, fired at low heat, left deliberately irregular. Each vessel celebrates the unpredictable dance between human intention and natural imperfection. These are not just crafts. They are meditations. Each piece silently declares, I am beautiful, not despite my imperfections, but because of them. Visual artist Richard Powell captured it perfectly. Wabi-Sabi nurtures all that is authentic by acknowledging three simple realities. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect. But the wisdom of Wabi-Sabi goes even deeper. It reveals a paradox. The broken is what makes things whole. When a pot breaks and is repaired with gold, it becomes stronger and more precious. When a heart breaks and heals, it often loves with more depth. When a dream fails, it often births a new, wiser ambition. In a world obsessed with smooth surfaces and endless youth, Wabi-Sabi reminds us that roughness, asymmetry, and decay are not errors to erase. They are nature's signature. Accepting this requires humility. But in that humility, there is freedom and an unexpected kind of beauty that perfection can never reach. To embrace Wabi-Sabi is to stop demanding that life stay frozen at its peak. It is to cherish the full arc of existence, from blossoming to weathering to fading away. And when we see through this lens, we begin to recognize It's not just pottery or artwork that carries Wabi-Sabi. It's everything. And it's us. The deepest chains are often the ones we can't see. Not forged of metal, but of perspective. Of the quiet, relentless belief that life should meet our expectations or else something is wrong. Wabi-Sabi whispers a radical alternative. What if the problem is not with life, but with the lens through which we view it? Perception shapes reality. Not in a mystical sense, but in a deeply human one. Take a moment to reflect. What makes something ugly? Is a weathered hand truly unsightly? Or is it society that taught us only smooth skin is worthy? Is a cracked wall really ruined? Or does it tell a story of seasons past, of resilience against time? What we label as flaws are often judgments passed through inherited narratives. But narratives can be rewritten. Modern neuroscience backs this power of perception. Studies on neuroplasticity reveal that the brain isn't fixed. Our patterns of judgment, of clinging and rejecting, can be reshaped. Acceptance, researchers have found, lowers stress and increases well-being. When we stop resisting reality, when we stop saying, "This shouldn't be," we free up immense psychological energy. This is why ancient Zen teachings, which birthed Wabi-Sabi, emphasize non-attachment. Not indifference, but release. As the Zen proverb says, "Let go or be dragged." Clinging makes us brittle. Life's inevitable changes become threats. But letting go, it makes us fluid, adaptive, and paradoxically more alive. Wabi-Sabi expresses this through ritual. The Japanese tea ceremony, for example, transformed radically under the influence of Zen monk Murata Shuko in the 15th century. Where once the tea ritual flaunted wealth with ornate cups and extravagant settings, Murata reimagined it through Wabi-Sabi. The new ceremony unfolded in rustic huts, using simple raku cups, often irregular, even cracked. The environment was intentionally unpolished. Soft moonlight instead of chandeliers. Rough textures instead of gilded walls. What was the purpose? To invite the guest and host into a state of presence. In this simplicity, distraction fell away. Each sip, imperfect yet intentional, became sacred. The ritual taught this profound lesson. Stop seeking to perfect the moment. Instead, enter it fully, just as it is. Acceptance does not mean passive surrender. It means recognizing that perfection is not a prerequisite for joy. In fact, joy often sneaks in through the gaps. Through laughter during plans gone wrong. Through tenderness in flawed relationships. Through gratitude for a body that, while not ideal, carries us through life. Yet this perceptual shift isn't easy. Our culture conditions us to equate acceptance with giving up. To let go is seen as weakness. But Wabi-Sabi offers a new paradigm. To accept imperfection is not weakness. It is courage. The courage to meet life on its terms, not ours. It is the power to release the exhausting pursuit of if only. If only I were thinner. If only I had more. If only things went exactly as planned. And to step instead into the quiet, liberating space of, this is enough. Through this shift, acceptance becomes not defeat but freedom. And freedom, when deeply felt, is the most beautiful imperfection of all. Ideas are beautiful, but until they touch our daily lives, they are only that, ideas. Wabi-Sabi, however, was never meant to stay in temples or art galleries. It was born to inhabit the quiet, often unnoticed corners of existence. Because imperfection isn't rare, it's everywhere. Look closer. At the chipped mug you still use every morning. At the faded jeans that have molded perfectly to your shape. At the laugh lines deepening on your face, marking years of smiles and sorrows. Wabi-Sabi asks, why rush to hide these? Why not let them tell your story? In relationships, wabi-sabi becomes even more tender. Modern love is often haunted by idealization. Swipe-based dating has conditioned us to believe that somewhere out there is a flawless partner. No arguments. No insecurities. No imperfections. But this fantasy is fragile. Real love is messy. It stumbles. It forgives. It weathers seasons of doubt. To live wabi-sabi is to stop demanding perfection from those we love, and from ourselves. It is to recognize that intimacy deepens not when people are flawless, but when they are fully seen and still embraced. This mindset extends to aging. In a culture obsessed with youth, wrinkles and gray hairs are framed as battles lost. But wabi-sabi whispers otherwise. Aging is not decay. It is patina. It is the softening of sharp ambitions, the deepening of character. Consider the Japanese reverence for weathered materials. A wooden table, worn by decades of shared meals, gains value through its imperfections. So too do we. And what about failure? In careers, we are conditioned to fear missteps, to frame setbacks as shameful detours. Wabi-sabi teaches us to see failure not as the opposite of success, but as part of its texture. Like kintsugi, each repaired crack adds to our narrative. Our losses, mistakes, and recoveries make us more authentic, and paradoxically, more resilient. Even in the mundane, wabi-sabi offers gentle guidance. In a society driven by productivity, we often rush through our days. Every task must be optimized, every minute maximized. But wabi-sabi finds beauty in slowing down. Mindfulness practices echo this. Savor your tea even if the cup is cracked. Appreciate the cloudy sky, rather than curse the missing sun. Notice the dust, the wear, the slight asymmetry of your surroundings. These are not imperfections to fix, but invitations to be present. Modern movements like minimalism and slow living unknowingly align with wabi-sabi. They strip away the excessive, seeking meaning in what remains. But where minimalism often emphasizes clean lines and order, wabi-sabi adds tenderness. It's okay if it's not perfect. To live wabi-sabi is to soften the edges of our ambition. Not to give up, but to release the belief that only the flawless is worthy. It is to walk through life with open hands, to allow moments to come and go, imperfect, impermanent, incomplete. And in doing so, something extraordinary happens. Peace is no longer postponed until someday. It arrives now, quietly, in the midst of life's beautiful mess. At first glance, acceptance sounds passive, like surrender, like giving up. But wabi-sabi offers a deeper truth. Letting go is not weakness, it is power. Because to cling tightly is exhausting. To control everything is impossible. And to demand perfection from life is a battle lost before it begins. The wisdom of wabi-sabi is not in resignation, but in liberation. By releasing our grip, we stop fighting the natural flow of existence. We begin, instead, to move with it. Philosopher Alan Watts once said, "Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone." In the same way, life's complexities often resolve themselves when we stop forcing outcomes. Consider the way nature works. Trees let go of their leaves without grief. Rivers change course without regret. The moon waxes and wanes without resistance. Why then do we, alone among nature, clutch so fiercely to control? When we loosen that grip, something shifts within us. Not apathy but presence. Not defeat but grace. Psychological research supports this idea. Acceptance-based therapies, like ACT acceptance and commitment therapy, show that embracing life's imperfections reduces suffering and increases emotional flexibility. In other words, by letting go, we become stronger. This is the paradox wabi-sabi invites us to embrace. Freedom is found not in the absence of limits, but in harmony with them. When we stop fighting imperfection, space opens up for gratitude, for wonder, for joy that is not dependent on outcomes. This shift touches every aspect of life. In creativity, it frees us from the paralyzing fear of making mistakes. A blank canvas no longer intimidates, because beauty can emerge from irregular strokes. In love, it softens our judgments. Partners, friends, and family no longer need to meet idealized versions of themselves to be cherished. In aging, it transforms dread into reverence. Lines and scars are no longer marks of decline, but records of having lived. And in our relationship with ourselves, it silences the cruel voice that says, "You are only enough when you are flawless." Instead, Wabi-Sabi gently replies, "You are enough precisely because you are unfinished." In this, letting go becomes not a loss but a gain of serenity, authenticity, and alignment with the rhythm of life. To live Wabi-Sabi is to stop racing toward an illusion of perfection and start walking calmly, curiously, through the imperfect beauty that already surrounds us. It is, in many ways, an act of rebellion. In a world addicted to more, better, faster, choosing to slow down, to savor, to accept. This is powerful. This is radical. This is freedom. And so, the question remains not just for philosophers, monks, or artists, but for you. If nature embraces imperfection effortlessly, why do you resist so hard? Maybe, just maybe, it's time to let go. And in doing so, discover the quiet, resilient joy waiting patiently beneath the noise. What we explored today is not easy. To let go sounds simple, yet it touches the deepest fears we hold. The fear of becoming invisible, of losing control, of falling short. But ask yourself, has clinging ever truly saved you from suffering? Has perfection ever held you when life unraveled? Maybe it's time to try a different path. Not one of passive resignation, but of conscious release. To flow with imperfection. To find poetry in broken things. To let life shape you as it will. And to trust that you'll still be whole. Wabi-Sabi is not a rule book. It's a lens. You can pick it up anytime and view your world and yourself differently. The stain on your table. The crack in your confidence. The ending you didn't want. All of them invitations. Invitations to stop resisting and start receiving. To stop perfecting and start experiencing. If you're still here, listening, reflecting, you are already practicing Wabi-Sabi. You are already brave enough to wonder, what if imperfection isn't my enemy? What if it's my teacher? Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this resonated, if even a single sentence made you pause, that silence is worth more than any click or view. If you feel called to, leave a comment. Share your cracks, your imperfect moments, or simply carry this thought into your evening. You're invited to stay, not because I need numbers, but because this conversation matters. There are more videos, more ideas, more uncomfortable yet beautiful truths to explore. And I'll be here when you're ready. Until then, let the cracks remain. Let the edges stay soft. And let yourself, bravely, remain unfinished. Because wholeness was never about being flawless. It was always about being real.